some point.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Okay, the time is 6:30, and I will call this
It throws me
June
off.
12, 2017 work session of the Snellville Mayor and Council to order. First, we have a regular business, public hearing agenda items. Anything on there that any of the council members would like to discuss?
Yes, first one's tree ordinance. Does it apply, what was it? The chapter,
That's work
I don't
session.
have it, but oh, that's work session, okay, so. Okay, so the other one was the nuisance. Yeah, the nuisance one. So it's basically, if I understand it right, giving basically search warrant power to the planning director.
Do what now?
The nuisance ordinance.
No, not without review. Right now, this is nuisance matter, that's what we're talking about. And all we're doing is fixing a process where there can be a court oversight of search warrants. And when somebody stops us from doing a nuisance investigation, we go to the municipal court and present, just like you would for a criminal warrant, and get permission to go behind the door or behind the fence or into the backyard to clean up. And there has to be probable cause.
What's the current?
The current is, our ordinance says, follows the state law, which basically says the planning director can just march on in. But we didn't feel that that was constitutional, so we're just creating a constitutionally predicated warrant through the municipal court to get access. And it's just to protect our people, give our people a review that they can go in with confidence and have documentation.
Well, it's a property owner protection as well, that you can't have the planning director just marching into your house at any point.
But it appears under our current ordinance that they can. I mean, it's sort of implied in the way the state provision reads, and it doesn't give you the option. So it just lends itself to being misinterpreted, and we were just clearing it up to give a process.
We never have used that for all time.
Because my worry was since it's implied in the current, but it's not really been fought in court, I guess, for all the way up towards Fourth Amendment territory.
Most of these nuisance actions currently are abandoned premises, to be honest. But I've seen them in other jurisdictions where they're not. It's kudzu growing out of the backyard of one neighbor into, and they won't let the investigators go in to see what's going on, what the condition is immediately in the backyard, and it becomes an issue, so.
Well, and even on those, is this once we've initiated and approved a nuisance action against a
absolutely,
property?
yeah.
So this already come before us as council to say that, yes, this is a nuisance action, we want to move it along.
So this goes into residential, not just commercial?
This is
yeah,
residential.
Yeah.
Code.
Yeah, I can.
But Roger, this is the one, like, we've had two houses that have come up where they were abandoned and just,
Well, under abandonment, it's different, I guess, legal stuff from when it's abandoned.
but
'Cause
see, right now, our rules allow the planning director to go in there right now without any oversight.
But that could be challenged in court and it probably would lose. This would definitely.
After it was
solidify that
done.
you can, yeah.
After it was done.
Yeah.
I mean, this is preventing him from marching in there without going before the
Well,
judge and explaining.
Well, like, Jason's cool and everything, but I'm thinking of the future.
Well, I
Like,
know,
we
but this
never know
gives
who's
more
gonna be-
protection. To me, this change gives more protection to the
And
property
there's more
owner
control there.
than what we have.
This language right here.
Right now,
Because right now, Jason can just go there.
Yeah, but see.
Under that rule,
like,
he's
yeah.
got to come before the judge and explain it.
The public
Yeah,
health
if-
safety measure here, this is a clause to me that really.
Well, they always put that.
Yeah,
on
that's
there.
standard language to make it.
They,
But the reasoning is there, the legal reasoning is certainly explained.
see, my view is currently if Jason were to just walk in there, it would be challenged in court, and yeah, it would impede him on the Fourth Amendment. Well, that would be discussed in court, but assuming that it impeded, and then after the fact it was proven in court, but then it would solidify the property or the individual's rights more. This definitely says, the council and mayor said that this, so it adds more credibility to when it is challenged eventually in court. And who knows if it will ever be challenged, but I'm guessing eventually something will be challenged.
Well, to me, if you have a court order, I mean, that's like getting
Well, that isn't-
a search warrant.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, who challenges, well, I mean, church search warrants, I'm sure, are challenged in court, whether it was proper or not, but now you're going to a judge. I mean, this was a judge's decision on whether this was a proper search.
Better it takes it out of my hands.
Yeah. I feel better about it having to go, I mean, first, the council would have first started the nuisance action and said, yes, move ahead. So we don't even get to that before we've all agreed that it needs to be a nuisance problem. Then it keeps him from having the authority to just walk in the door. He's gotta have, he gets oversight by the court, which we don't have any control over, that's the court. So I think it gives us a really good
These
check and balances and
conditions,
more
when you-
property.
in these instances, we're not talking about, a normal home.
We're not talking about grass growing up
It's not-
12
yeah.
inches.
It's determining if the abandoned premises have combustibles or there are odors that are affecting the neighborhood. I mean, it is.
Or rats and
Yeah,
rodents
it's sort
and,
of an urgent get behind the door to find out what's going on so you can report it and do something about it. I mean,
is
it's-
that bent trail or bent tree?
Yeah, it isn't
bent trail
the occupied
property?
house where there's a disagreement with the city kind
No.
of thing. I mean, these are locked up, no keys, nobody around. Sometimes occupied by people who don't have anything to do with the premises. They just are in there.
Meth
Yeah.
labs, meth
Squatters.
labs, abandoned animals, dead bodies,
You
Bobby's
okay, Rex,
neighborhood.
Roger?
Well, I'm still voting no because it hasn't really been proven to me that.
No, that's fine, but I mean, you need any more explanation?
Oh, no, that was it.
Okay.
Oh,
How about the tree ordinance? You said something about the tree
the
ordinance?
tree.
That's on
orders-
the work session.
Yeah, that's work.
Oh, okay.
The other was the intergovernmental agreement. Okay, so, no, it's, the intergovernmental agreement is the work session, right? Or
No.
I mean, the,
Well, there's two. There's one for the
Library.
Oak Road, and then there's the design one
design.
for the libraries on the work
That's
session.
next, right?
Yeah.
Design. Well, I guess I'll talk when we talk about that.
Okay. So is there anything else on tonight's public hearing then that we need to go
I,
over?
I do have a couple of questions regarding the old police department easements. Have we set a closing date yet for the property?
I think they're still in limited approval.
Well, we got letter approval sometime late last week. I have that letter now. So now we're waiting for the zoning process to go its due course. And then, once the zoning is approved, they have 10 days to close.
Okay. So is the easement prior to closing, is that customary?
We're not giving it to them, but it has to be approved by the council in form in order to authorize it for the closing. It is a condition of the contract, so we got the drawings and we just prepared it so we can.
So
be
we're
ready.
just running a little ahead of schedule, but customarily, we won't do any transfer of easements or prior to closing, 3 days after, so on and so
Your
forth.
concern is legitimate. You don't give somebody an easement to property they have nothing to do with.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hold on to it until the appropriate time.
It may not be the sharpest draw in the knife.
That was good.
Sharpest draw on a knife, yeah, you got that right.
Like I said, y'all caught that.
Just for
Yeah, I'm just a dumb old redneck. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that one before too.
Bobby, any other questions on that?
Just for
Okay.
clarification, we will
I
be
got
sharing,
some on the work session, but.
we will be sharing unless Tony tells me otherwise, we will be sharing the draft that you are considering and approving with them prior to closing.
They need to see it.
They need to see it prior to closing.
If it closes, as long as we don't
Okay,
execute,
Butch has some,
it does not need to be executed.
Regarding the budget, if you remember, we're keeping the millage rate at the exact same number we are right now. But that does entail 3 millage meetings. And right now, the plan is for the ad to go in on the 23rd of June. So we have to wait 7 days to have, and we have to have a morning meeting and an evening meeting. We can have both of them on the 30th of June. So everybody doesn't have to be there, as long as we have a quorum at each one. If we could meet at 11:30 and then again at 6 on the 30th. And if you guys could just work out where you have at least 4 at each one, we're good. And then the final adoption would be July 10th, the regular council meeting. Is that okay?
The adoption of the millage rate.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And we'll have all the information to you as soon as we get the digest from the county. And it should be tomorrow.
Well, sometime between the 13th and the 20th.
Well, we've got to get it as soon as possible. But that's what we'd like to do, advertise the 23rd, and then
The
there's 2
30th
meetings
at-
on the 30th.
You said 11:30.
and 6.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the meeting, on the public hearing? Okay, let's go to the work session agenda. Correspondence, do you have any correspondence to review?
No, sir.
I need executive session minutes for all 3 categories.
Okay. Great.
I'm hungry too.
City attorney's report, that will be in exec session, your report?
Yes.
Okay. Draft of the tree ordinance amendment. Roger, do you have a question on that?
Sure. Oh yeah, I read it, but I couldn't find anything that said that if it was, because I was thinking it was just commercial. Does it, where it says right at the, like the first page, it says like chapter something of the some of the ordinances. Does that mean that chapter is for commercial or BG and not residential, where it applies to?
Yeah, the tree ordinance specifically states that it's, party privy to development.
Okay. Because I didn't read it in the, so I was guessing one of the numbers meant that that's where the section of the book means,
It's
which is.
prescribed that you have to have a tree plan and the development regulations. which,
Okay.
Regulate commercial, so there's no ties to any residential
Okay.
property.
That was it.
And on the tree ordinance, I know we talked on the fine amount, just throwing it out there. I get a little squeamish with $900 a day.
I don't.
Huh?
I know some
You
of them-
don't?
Because the developers, they do the math. To see
360
if it's
some odd,
like-
whatever it is now, doesn't seem to deter.
That doesn't-
Well, yeah, I know that's way too low.
We still have, a lot of times, depending on the actions of the violator, we still have discretion on when
Yeah.
to apply it and when to,
Keep popping
yeah,
off.
I mean, the target guys have already got a tree plan back in place, and we were actually able to get hardwoods to replace the hollies, so it was a net gain for the city. And they did everything they were supposed to do, so, we hadn't dealt with them before, responded, met the deadlines, and now they're in place to plant them in October, so that guy, necessarily doesn't need 900, but DDR, on the other hand, where it became a stalemate or somebody that's just not responding, I think the number gets their attention a lot faster.
Well, Target did everything they were supposed to do after that.
After the fact.
There is a distinction there.
Yeah.
Well, and I think in the end, that's the way it all comes up anyway. You know what I mean?
It cost them about $4,000 for those trees, so, the contractor bit the bullet on that one, so, they'll call next time.
It's being able to get out in front of that, people knowing about
Everybody okay
it.
with that then?
Okay.
Any further discussion on that?
We could move it to 1,000.
That was what I was gonna say, why not just a flat 1,000? But,
Well, because that's flirting
Yeah.
with felony.
well, okay then, we don't want that,
So we're being good guys and
Okay.
just
I got you.
save them $100.
Discussion of the IGA with Gwinnett County for the library market.
Are we gonna skip B?
Oh, I'm sorry, missed it. Review draft of town variant accessory use amendment.
I have a question on the intergovernmental.
Roger, hang on. We're on B. We skipped
over.
over B. What did this come about? What is this B on? Columbarium, what, how did that?
Basically, St. Oliver's has been working on this plan for years. Okay, a couple of years, Chad Smith was doing the work for them.
Okay.
And I think they finally were ready to do it, and once it was submitted, our code didn't sufficiently cover accessory uses, and because of, some issues in the past, we wanted to make sure that it was locked down tight of what a columbarium was, where it can go, basically front, side, or rear yard, and then, the definition of that and how you go through with it. So we were lacking in that department,
Okay.
so it was.
I just had not heard anything about it, so it was kind of interesting. I read the thing and never heard of such.
It's a
Well-
pretty popular thing for churches.
It is. I know there's quite a few churches around that have
Well,
them.
Methodist Church has one already, that really, as of this moment, before we pass this, is not really.
But
kosher.
is there, I haven't seen theirs
It's in-
physically, but isn't it
Behind the church.
inside or
Behind
like in a courtyard or
It's in an
something?
outdoor courtyard.
Yeah,
So,
That would be something like that existed.
yeah, the one specifically at St. Oliver's they're talking about is like a garden, memorial garden between two existing buildings. So it's not really like attached. I just have a problem with the way this language is structured. Because the language works for me in a case like St. Oliver's or First Baptist Church or the Methodist Church or, like a church like New Jerusalem where they have a church and property and you've got that establishment there. But the way we have this defined, it would also apply, I don't see where it doesn't apply to a church that we've approved in a retail center. So, 12 Stone Church, Lifegate,
Well,
those kind of churches. So how do we distinguish between that and,
the zoning district would dictate that, because that's for CI. I don't think we allowed it in residential. We didn't allow it in this conditional use permit. So if a church wanted to have one and they didn't have valid zoning, they would have to zone over. They couldn't be like, BG, you have a church with a CUP, but you're still in a BG zoning district. So civic institutional, you don't have a shopping center. You're only gonna have your traditional type of church.
Okay.
So it's only allowed as an accessory use under that zoning district, not BG, not even residential, like where you have a CUP. So if they're still most of the churches now are all zoned correctly, so there wouldn't be a problem. The most of your traditional
We've even got a
churches.
couple in OP, right?
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah, what's the one-
Down Lenore Church,
No, those are mostly CI over there.
even up where. Okay. I
and
was
what's the
thinking
one
there's
on
one.
124 by the Quick Trip? Is that Grace? Because
That
I think they're
one's-
still residential.
They are, so they'd have.
They'd have to
bring it in.
rezone to CI.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we
think the
could,
zone
we
covers
could
it.
add it to the residential conditional uses, because those are typically traditional churches, though, if you think about it. Maybe the Methodist is still,
Residential.
let me look at that, because we wouldn't, if it's a tradition, St. Oliver's used to be a CUP, and now they're CI.
They're CI because they rezoned when they redid all that property
This,
acquisition.
I think there's some other regulatory work that somebody who puts one of these in has to do too. I mean, there has to be a permanence to the structure. You can't move ashes without special circumstances. They have to be stored in certain ways. So I think
Right.
there may be other controls that we want
Well,
to
that-
give you confidence that
Right,
this just
and-
can't happen in a shopping center.
Well, and I know in the Catholic Church, the way it works, because I've heard all the details on that actual plan. I don't know if the other church religions do the same thing, but I mean, in the Catholic Church, for everyone that's purchased, they have to actually send money downtown to the archdiocese to hold for moving. If anything were to happen to the church property, if the church property was sold, then the archdiocese actually has the funds to move and reintern all of the ashes. I don't know if the other
I think the
churches are that
Secretary of
well.
State's office is
Well,
already
within this,
doing
we've got the language of house of worship.
Mm-hmm.
Shall have the same meaning as place or places of worship, means a building or structure or groups of building or structures that by design and construction are primarily intended for conducting organized religious services and associated accessory uses. And I think that's pretty well defines it. If you're in the middle of a strip center, you really don't have, I see it as being called a church, but I don't see it being in that classification.
So this is all for CI. Okay, well, I feel better about that then.
Most all the churches except for, I think, First Baptist is still
Okay.
operating under a CUP, but everything
Item
else is
C,
Okay.
discussion of IGA with Gwinnett County for library and market.
Roger, you got a couple of questions first before I go?
Yeah. Mine's was, so I noticed some parts are heavily defined, and then some are kind of left open-ended. Section 4.1 where it says acquisition of property, says the authority agrees to take possession of the property, and then that's it. Does it mean by any means? Like besides just buying it from the person, like property acquisition, like eminent domain stuff? Is that basically why it's like left open-ended?
The structure of it is that we actually transfer the property into the DDA or let it be purchased inside the DDA in order for it to be marketed by private sale. And so they have to be owners and in possession. That's their responsibility. It becomes the obligation to manage the properties in the DDA.
Well, before the managing part, I guess, or before any of that, like just acquiring it to begin with.
Right.
That part, or that process.
The DDA will actually be the acquisition agent for the closing. The agreement, its primary focus is the agreement that the city will provide the funds to do the acquisition, and then the property becomes restricted to a council approval process in terms of disposition.
Is your question about condemnation?
Yes.
We're not condemning.
So it's only gonna be. I
It has
guess,
to be, it's gonna be on property we own.
It's under code.
Okay, okay. And then. Okay, so, and then section 4.2 on the property specifically, it's the second page, page 4. So both that, the unelected body and then the elected body are both gonna decide how the money is disposed? Is that the right interpretation of that?
You're talking about the intergovernmental agreement on Oak
Yeah.
Street, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I don't know, are you talking about Oak Street or are you talking about Market?
The library.
You're talking about Oak, 2270 now.
There's two. of them, so
Okay.
make sure
Tell
we're
me
talking the
your
right one.
provision again, tell me which one you're looking at, Roger.
Well, it just says the property, 4.2.
Okay.
What is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
on the front?
Yeah, we're talking
Oh,
about
for-
the clinic that's being purchased.
Okay, it's a different one than the Market.
Yeah, this is the county agreement. This is,
This is the town center, or the town, so this is,
You're
but this
talking
one's the
about-
one that includes the one that they were buying, I guess, the 665. So I guess that property is the one
Okay.
specifying.
that's really designed to explain that the authority may negotiate sales and leases of the property and work with prospective purchasers. That's sort of what their role is in town center development. And it's subject to the approval of mayor and council, which is a critical ingredient of restraining the property so that it doesn't
So
go
doesn't-
somewhere
yeah.
that the DDA wants to go to council disagrees with. And the
Okay.
council puts it in.
The authority will follow the directions
Right.
of the mayor
Okay.
and council.
And the format of this is really the same format that's been used for 6 years now with properties that y'all place.
Oh,
in.
so this specifically only deals with that property?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
This is just the controls on that
The
piece of
six-
property.
So just the 665, that property
It-
only?
It needs to be,
Okay.
it
That's
needs to
right.
be approved in order to approve the funding, and under
Okay.
this, we put all the restrictions in it that go with the purchase, once it's funded by the city.
All right, I thought it was like all property, so
Fine.
I misinterpreted that.
Okay, let's get back then to the county
Can I-
library and Market.
Yeah, that's, that,
Yeah.
can we, is
Yeah,
that, Roger,
go back to that.
are you done?
Yeah,
Okay. My questions are regarding the county and library market. Under number 1, the library market will be jointly owned and operated by the parties county bearing the cost of operation of the library. What about maintenance cost? Is that just an assumption because they're gonna operate it, they're gonna maintain maintenance, or is there a common area maintenance charge based on the rest of the plaza? I mean, what?
There isn't, the only areas covered by the agreement are the buildings, and so there's gonna be a section that's their responsibility to maintain. They have 22, they're wanting 22,000 square feet of the building, that's their obligation to maintain.
Okay.
There obviously, there could be shared, like heating and air, that kind of thing, and they get allocated on square footage basis. They're also committed to their part of the parking.
Right,
They're not in
and
the
that's really,
plaza.
and that's what was really driving the next question is if, if we can segment those utilities to make it very easy to delineate, because the building, 22,000 square foot, if it's theirs, we should condition it and so on. I'm just thinking.
This
But if they're gonna
agreement-
have a common area maintenance, if there's gonna be a plaza that they're gonna be the benefactor of as well,
Right.
then as they're paying us a little bit to help us with the parking lot, maybe we should consider that as well.
Right. You won't know those things until you do, this agreement is just for design. And so you go through this process of design and you get to the point where you can do what you're
Okay.
talking about.
Number 2, under location, are we 100% sure that the location of this is going to be on our property?
Well, we're going to do it, we're going to have it designed two ways. We're going to have it, or the design will be able to work both ways. One is we own enough property right now to build it. We can build it on our property.
When you
We
say
would
building,
prefer-
are you talking about building all 3 stories, parking deck
Yes.
and everything on our property?
Not the parking deck, the three, well, yes, as a matter of fact, we can on our property. We would like to push it down to the lot where behind the post office. And that's where our first design would be. The parking lot would actually be down on that piece.
Okay, so under that scenario, which pieces of property are you talking about that's being built on? Across the street,
Across the street. from-
and then
And
the next
down
two?
as far as it needs to go. We have enough room there to build what we need. However, our preference is to move it down a half a block and have the parking lot basically on the post office, the field behind the post office. But there's been some concern about whether the post office would actually come through or not. So if it doesn't, we still now, with the property we purchased, have enough property to put both the post office and the parking lot on property we currently have title to.
Okay, so the 3-story structure plus the parking deck will all fit on what we currently own?
Yes.
Without acquiring anything else?
Correct.
More toward inside or behind those pieces of property? We don't need any more width?
We don't.
I'd like to see that laid out. 'Cause
You got it, don't you, Bush?
I've got Bill Tennell's plan, but,
I don't think
That
that's
doesn't have it
been, I don't
moved.
think that's been overlaid on what we own.
No, that's part of the design that we're gonna, the IGA, we're gonna have it done in this design.
Okay.
And that'll be confirmed, of course, also in the design.
Okay. Well, I'm just a little cautious about, if we don't have 2 real clear delineated plans for, it's just on our property or potential property that we will acquire, a little concerned about that.
The county has the same concern, and so the language got modified from first draft to second draft to say that we can
Is this second draft or first draft?
This second draft that you're looking at,
Okay.
the one that I sent out on Saturday is the second draft. And so it is, it has language in it that allows the city to guarantee that they redesign so that it's all on city property. Now, footprint hadn't been done. And so we've had many configurations of where the parking deck might go. But the city has plenty of property in the area to accommodate all those things.
Well,
So
I mean, just speaking for me, it would be helpful for me to see that, I guess, I know timing is apparently something that we need to think about, but I'm
the
just
county part.
cautious about that.
And the county is too, so they're good with moving forward with design, but they won't move forward with construction until the design is all owned, property owned by the city. They've had a little trouble with that with some other jurisdictions.
And
So-
since we won't be approving this tonight, obviously, we'll go in and change the date that we actually approve it, right? It won't be a retroactive to June 12th, which is today, which is what this is dated.
It'll be July 10th.
No, it'll have the date on it that
We
the approval
sign
date,
it.
yeah.
Okay,
There's
I'm just
not-
saying,
there's-
this one's got the 12th.
There's no requirement that it be.
And there's no need for it
Yeah, there's no
retroactive, this is for
requirement.
future.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's, I'm just making, just a question. So, okay.
Lakewood Road project, the plan for proposed amphitheater, we can overlook that, that it was, I was told by Melvin that the Lakeview project out in the county was anticipating an amphitheater, but when we dug into it, it's not anything to worry about, it's not what it's supposed to be, so.
What is, I mean, that's county anyway, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to build they're building a big amphitheater, we didn't really want a big amphitheater right outside of the city.
I think the point was whether we needed to write a letter to the county
Right.
expressing that the city would not.
Because of the proximity of the city.
City.
It's kind of a standard deal. If you're close
Well,
enough to the
it's,
city, they
You
ask
could-
you.
we
to
could
do
write a
it.
letter and
I
say
thought
we like it or
had
not
to be
like it.
contiguous, so I didn't think it could be separated by.
No, it could. I mean, you can offer your opinion.
If it's
I
close,
realize
they'll,
that.
they'll
I
send
just-
you the note.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
Anything.
Okay, before we go over, before Butch goes over this list, I asked him, we have quite an extensive exec session tonight, so I've asked him just to hit the high spots on his chart, so we can get the exec session, and hopefully get it out of the way before the public hearing.
Okay. When it comes to the displaced left turn 78-124, I have been assured that we will have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor once the contract is awarded this week, later this week, where we can talk about detours, schedules, and public education. So that was good. Oak Road Park, the pavilion is there. The punch list is in development. We should have that, and when we get that and talk to the contractor, we can decide when you want to cut the ribbon. We have a new coordinator for the Snellville Youth Commission. You want to introduce?
Yes, Chris O'Donoghue is right behind me, and he's going to be absolutely filled with energy and enthusiasm for this program. Can't wait to get started.
It's funny, he doesn't look Irish.
Good deal.
Way younger than us.
A couple things on the next page, the SPLOST program, you have a handout which goes over the 6-year SPLOST estimated collections, and the categories where we have placed the dollars, as well as the 2 joint programs for recreation and transportation. And we had a little presentation before the county rec board the other day about our 2 projects, which are Oak Road Park and the Town Center Trail System. So that's all in being worked on. Had one question from Kurt and Gretchen about the garden. We've got 4 contractors who are going to be bidding on pulling the debris out, replacing it with good soil. Rain has kind of delayed us a little bit, and have not talked with all 4 of those about bracing the pavilion so it does not have to come down. 2 of them said that would not be a problem. So we're working towards that. Those are the high points.
Okay,
If I could ask one question.
Yes.
I hate to take the time, but Wisteria Drive intersection, what is the county saying they're going to do there? Nobody seems to want to answer that question, although they've allotted funds to do something there. Nobody seems to be able to tell us what they're going to do.
That'll all be coming in engineering and design. I
So,
can't.
so they've got to do it for us to learn about it.
What's that?
So they can't tell us anything?
I mean, are they thinking about a red light?
I mean, are they
or-
thinking about a red light, or, I mean,
What we've
You know, we
asked
gotta
them
pass the
is
thing to
for,
learn about
what
it?
we've asked them is for north and southbound
Up there.
traffic. And most likely, it will be a red light. They've got to time it between Oak Road and Wisteria because they're close there. But there are a lot of intersections that are closer than that. So that's all I can tell you right now.
well, thank you for that, but that really is not an answer.
Well, it's
$2.5
something that we have to
million is
have.
enough for those.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen.
during the work session of the mayor and the city council, Snellville, Georgia, Mayor announced that certain matters should be discussed in closed session of the meeting. Ask